is a Friday, and I am heading up to Flagstaff. This is the fourth time this week. I went up Monday for a dentist appointment, Wednesday and Thursday for faculty meetings, and then today I'm going up. I'm helping my mom move some stuff at the gallery and also meeting a friend for lunch. Yeah, you know, I figured might as well just go up almost every day. Yeah, anyway, thank you guys for bearing with me on figuring out this vlogging thing. Some of you probably are like, what do you mean? What happened? If you never saw that vlog update video, because there were two. There was one that said was called vlog update, and that's where I said I wasn't going to vlog anymore. And then there was a second one called another vlog update that said that I'm going to try to do this differently. The whole deal, for those of you who missed it, because I deleted the other video because I didn't want to confuse anybody who hadn't seen it. The whole thing was that we're having trouble with our internet. We've always had trouble with our internet. It's just slow, and uploading videos was eating up all the data, so that we just weren't able to have any decent speed on our internet for stuff that we need to do, like my job and John's school and things. And so I was thinking I was going to have to give it up. The plan now is that I'm going to film videos, and film vlogs ahead. So when you see it, I was always having my vlogs end on Sunday, and then I would post the vlog for you to see so that it would come up on Monday or Tuesday for you. So what just happened to me, I mean, what you saw in the video had just happened. Now what I'm going to do is get a little bit ahead, so that when you see something in my video that really it's like happened a week ago, and that way I don't have to make time to get someplace where I have internet, that I can, you know, faster internet, and I can just kind of do it as I can. But if I schedule it out, then there are always consistent videos coming up for you. So thanks so much for your support. Thank you so much. I lost a few viewers though on the very first day. 4 people unsubscribed on the very first day that thing went up. Oh well, they probably won't know that they're missing anything. The weather is getting nicer in Camp Verde. It's not quite as hot. My garden's in a weird transitional stage. I'm going to do a garden update, you know, like to show my garden in August. I'll do that soon here. But, you know, the tomatoes I did collect some tomatoes yesterday. I hadn't for days, but I probably picked about 15 from the different plants I have. And then my squash has gotten powdery mildew, which I'm going to try to treat this weekend to ward it off. It's really hard to get rid of though, and what I'm really wanting to do is just try to get the garden, to get these plants to go for 1 more month, because if I can get them to go for 1 more month, I can harvest all the winter squash and then just rip everything out, so it doesn't matter if it has powdery mildew. Keep in mind, you guys, if you're gonna garden, if you get powdery mildew on your plants, and you'll know it's just like this white spots, and they're just powdery, and then it just kind of takes over. But if you get that, do not take those plants and put them in a composter, because then you're going to spread those spores into the soil. So you don't want to do that. Anything that gets a fungus on it like that needs to just be thrown in the trash. And so I almost always throw my stuff from my garden, my vegetable garden, in the trash and not in the composter, because you don't know if it's going to have, like, if there are aphids on it, and then you go and you think, oh, I have this great soil to put in my garden, and you know, you're really actually putting a bunch of stuff in your garden that's going to make next year's garden even more difficult. So there you go. What was I going to say? Oh, you know, this was kind of interesting. Last week I got a negative comment from someone, and then the person unsubscribed. So let me tell you about this. So after I posted the picture of the Boston Terriers, the ones that are going to be bred. I think the mother comes in heat in September. They'll be bred at that time. Well, this person who's never commented before, so it's not like I had you know, any kind of a relationship, virtual relationship with her. She said, "Why can't you just adopt a nice dog from a shelter? I'm so against breeding," which would have been perfectly fine comment for her to make. But then she said, "I'm unsubscribing." So anyway, and she did, because the numbers, my subscriber numbers went down by 1 at that time. So it was kind of I don't know. I guess I didn't get a chance to explain. First of all, let me say that all my cats are rescue cats. There's plenty of cats out there. You don't have to. I mean, I don't feel the need to go get a specific breed of cat. The thing that's different between adopting a dog and a cat, and I'm all for adopting a shelter dog, and if we were into getting a big dog, then I would absolutely go to a shelter. Our issue is not really so much a particular kind of breed we want, it's behavior and size. And so big dogs are kind of laid back and everything, and so I think they're pretty, easy bet on that. And but when you want a small dog, you end up with a terrier in many cases, or like my mom's dog is a poodle. They chase cats, and they bark, and a lot of them dig and run away and all that kind of stuff, and those are behaviors that we just didn't want. Now let me just say, my mom's dog has been around my cats. She's perfectly nice with them, but she always thinks they are something to chase. And we'll get them to kind of be okay in the same room with each other, and then one of the cats will, kind of run through the room, and off Anna goes chasing after them. And I just wouldn't want to torture my cats by, it's one thing to have them, their Aunt Anna comes over, and it's one thing to have them around her then, but, I don't think I should adopt an animal that's going to chase them all the time. So anyway, our first dog that we got, her name was Karen. We got her from a pound, and but sadly, she came to us with distemper. We didn't know, and she died before her first birthday. It was so sad. Oh my gosh, it was so sad. So then we were a little gun shy after that, and that's when we ended up getting Vanessa, who did not come from a breeder, and who did not come from the pound. And so anyway, they're just, when I've investigated things about terriers, and just so you know, Boston Terriers are not terriers. They have that name, but they are not terriers. They are in the group called the non-sporting dog group, which means they're kind of companion animals. They're in the bull breed, like bulldogs and Frenchies and all that, that look they have. So they're not terriers. They don't, like, Vanessa and Chloe didn't bark. I mean, they were able to bark, but they didn't bark at things that just went by and stuff like that. They didn't chase. They didn't dig. They didn't run away. They were just, they're dogs that are happy to go on a walk, but they're also pretty happy just laying on a couch all day. So they're really different from terriers. Are busy, and so you have to walk them or have a yard that they can get out in. And my in-laws have 2 dachshunds, and those are really sweet dogs too, but they are busy dogs as well. And I'm telling you what, those dogs do not want to be friends with my cat. They've seen my cats, I should say. They have seen them through a sliding glass door, and especially the little one is just, you can tell she's like, I would be happy to take those guys off your hand. So we're just being really picky because we have cats, and because of a kind of just we're looking for as far as fitting into our lifestyle. And so, do I encourage people to get a dog from a shelter? Absolutely. And like I said, if we were getting a big dog, we would go to a shelter. And it's really not that we want a dog that's black and white and looks like it's wearing a tuxedo. It's more that we want a dog that is this size and has this personality type, and that comes with a Boston Terrier. That's why we're doing it this way. Anyway, so I don't know. I'm sure if I had been able to explain that to this particular viewer, she probably still would have been mad at me and unsubscribed. But, you know, fine. That's okay. That's okay. And I understand her position on that. I absolutely do. So, okay. Well, I'm blabbing on here. Like I said, heading up to Flagstaff for the day. You know, we're kind of at an interesting time of year. The weather's beautiful in Flagstaff. The weather's beautiful in Camp Verde. And it's going to start getting chilly in Flagstaff in September, because that's when the growing season ends there. September 23rd is the average date for the first frost. And so it gets chilly there, and we won't get a frost in Camp Verde until like November. So I've been getting a little homesick the last say month, I guess. Homesick for Flagstaff. I think just probably because of how long and hot the summer has been. And then also, you know, we've been in Camp Verde for 11 months now. And it just takes time to build friendships and things. And I just kind of have been feeling like, oh, all my friends and everybody I know, they're all in Flagstaff. And so, you know, I've been kind of working through that, but doing better now, getting better about that stuff now. And then also, I think a cabin fever always gets me, and I used to get that way in the spring in Flagstaff, where I just felt so cooped up. And you know, this summer I felt cooped up because it's been so hot. So I think I'm just sort of experiencing that kind of a thing at a different time of year. I'm sick of the humidity, really sick of it. But hopefully it will go away soon. So, oh, I wanted to tell you something. I had acupuncture yesterday. When I went to the pain specialist doctor the other day for my jaw, she said, you know, she said, in addition to what we're doing, you might want to try going to acupuncture. And she said, I'm not sure how you feel about that kind of thing, but she said that, you know, one thing is true, that they found that, that research has found that acupuncture will actually release cortisol, which is caused from stress and can lead to all kinds of issues. And so she said, she said some of my patients who have chronic pain do this and have found it to be helpful. So I thought, well, you know, can't hurt. So there's a place in Flagstaff, and they sort of have this, I don't know, kind of a interesting setup for how they do this. It's like community acupuncture. So you go in like people getting pedicures, but they're in there getting acupuncture, so you can see each other. But it just makes it more affordable because it's not you know, one-on-one with the person who's doing that. So anyway, I went. First of all, totally relaxing. It was really weird. At times, places where the needles were put would kind of like vibrate, and at one time it kind of like, there were two in my right forearm, and they felt almost immediately kind of like throbbing, sort of. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. But then it stopped, and then so I was there for like almost an hour. I must have fallen asleep. Most people do, and then they kind of wake you up, and so the plan is, she suggested, with the pain level that I have on my jaw, which isn't horrible these days, it's just not great. She suggested that I do acupuncture 2 times a week for the next 2 weeks, and then once a week for the next like 3 or 4 weeks after that, and then kind of go from there. So I'm gonna give it a try. It at least felt incredibly relaxing, so that was good, and so I was happy to try it, and I'm looking forward to the next one, believe it or not. Okay, so look what I just got. A bunch of different kinds of flowers, and reds and oranges and yellow. My flowers on my back patio had just kind of had it from the sun, and I figured I would replant them as the weather gets nicer. I'm heading home, and thought I would give you guys a little bit of an update on my dad. Went to see him for a little while. I saw him yesterday. He was doing really well yesterday, and then today I saw him, and he was coming down the hallway in his wheelchair, and he was so out of it. He just, like, I was talking to him and he was just like not getting what I was saying. And he said he wanted to have some lunch. So we went down to the dining room, and it was really late lunch for him, like 2:30 or something. But anyway, he's sitting there, and I was just like, okay, something is clearly wrong with him today. I kind of touched by his ear. Now the ear where he had the infection, he's not wearing a hearing aid because it's still a little tender. But anyway, the one that has the hearing aid in it, I kind of touched. And normally, like when you put fingers by a hearing aid, it'll kind of ring. And so I didn't hear anything. And I was like, Dad, I think your hearing aid battery is dead. I'm going to go up and get you another battery. So I did. I came down, put another battery in his hearing aid, and he was like, well, that's better. So anyway, so he was then much better after that. And so I was telling him that next week I have to go in and get this routine MRI, because I've had this for a long time. It's a benign tumor on my pituitary gland, and it was found like by a fluke, and then there's nothing wrong. There's no problem with having it, except that if it were to grow and it pressed on the optic nerve, it could cause blindness. So every so often, the doctor has me go in and get an MRI to check it and make sure that that it hasn't grown. So I was telling my dad, because I said I was going to come up again next week. He goes, what do you have going on? And I said, well, I have to get an MRI on Tuesday because of that thing. And he said, oh yeah, why do they have to check it? And I said, because they just want to make sure that, it doesn't grow, because otherwise I could be blind. And he says, oh, well, that would be a bad thing for an artist. and I looked at him and I thought, oh, does he think I'm my mother? So I said, well, then it's a good thing I'm not an artist. And he goes, a writer. So he's still with it, but then he'll have these really, really not so with it moments. But anyway, he just seems so weak and fragile, and he's so skinny anymore. I mean, this is a guy who was 6 feet tall and probably 175 pounds most of his life. He's shrunk a little bit. I think he's like 5'11", but the last time they weighed him, he was like 135, and that was with clothes on. Yeah, he's just getting so skinny. So anyway, that's the update on my dad. Hi guys, it's Saturday. I'm sweaty. I've been working out in the garden. I'll show you in a minute what I did. Hold on, let me let Mary in. I have to show you, ow, I just ran my foot into a chair. I have to show you what Chad has been doing. He gets a wild hair and he just starts running around. He messes up the carpets. He messes up the dining room chairs every day. One thing that's going to be so nice about having a puppy, I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, I will be happy to have a puppy. And I won't have to bend down and pick up stuff off the floor in my kitchen anymore, because I will have a dog that will lick it up. Yay. And Chad, he'll be so entertained by a puppy. In fact, he'll probably be kind of overwhelmed by it, but I think that will be good for him. Okay, the tomatoes are coming to an end, and I just ripped out 3 more plants today. I still am getting stuff, and then I ripped out my summer squash, my zucchini and my patty pans. Found 2 more in there, but I ripped them out. They were just covered in powdery mildew, as are some of my other winter squashes. I'm just hoping they'll hang on for another month so that those squashes can ripen up enough. But let me go ahead and take you outside. Before I take you outside, though, I want to show you what I picked up at the nursery yesterday along with those flowers. I have a little succulent garden back in the office that has just gotten overgrown. Everything's too big for the pot. It just doesn't look very pretty. So I'm going to actually pull out some of those plants and put them outside in the yard, because they'll probably grow great outside. But I bought this little thing. What is it? Can you see what that says? I don't know. And then this guy, well, knock it over here. Isn't that cool looking? It's like little fluted leaves. What does that thing say? A topsy-turvy. It's got a scientific name, but I can't read it for the life of me. And then this thing, which is really pretty. What is that? Princess Pine or something. So Princess Pine. All right, let's go outside. Now, John is mowing outside. We took our mower to get fixed. It cost us $350, which we're not upset about because we paid $1 for it in the sale of the house. We asked them to leave it for us, and it worked, you know, well enough for a while. And then finally we took it over to have kind of an overhaul done on it, and so for $350 we have a pretty much new John Deere riding mower. Okay, so you're gonna get a sneak peek of my garden in August before everybody else does in one of those videos. All right, so you can see still have some potatoes in that bucket. I pulled out a bunch of tomatoes there today. Okay, this right here is a cayenne. It's starting to get some peppers. We have some Swiss chard here, and there's a jalapeno that's here, and there are jalapenos on it. We've been harvesting off of those. The squash, though, from over here has just absolutely taken over the whole garden. I've got butternut squashes that began over here. They're over here. They're over here. This is a horn melon horn melon plant that has only just started to put out little tiny blossoms. So it's gone everywhere, but I haven't gotten anything out of it yet. I have a cucumber still growing, and a loofah, and a watermelon. Let me show you the loofah. This right here is a loofah squash. And believe it or not, you know, this is like the loofah sponge that you use to exfoliate in the shower. Believe it or not, you can eat the loofah squash. Like I could pick that right now and eat it. But if I let it continue to grow, then it will eventually dry out and become one of those sponges, which is why I grew it in the first place. Ripped out my zucchini and patty pans here. You can you see the powdery mildew on these leaves, little spots? Some of them are completely powdery. I ripped a lot of the leaves off today. Tons of spaghetti squash and butternut squash in here. Got a few more tomatoes. All 4 of the tomato plants in this bed are still growing. Got pumpkins still growing, these little teddy bear pumpkins. A regular gherkin, cucumber there. I ripped out my snap peas and grew some more because we're heading into cooler weather, and so I figured they like cool weather, so I figured I'd start that again. Carrots, that's a kohlrabi, but I'm just letting it grow for the leaves because they're really mild and tasty in smoothies. Back there I have one more tomato plant that's still producing a little bit. As you can see here, the truck is filled up with stuff that John's going to take to the dump. That's partially from branches of our willow tree that blew off in our last windstorm, as well as some of my tomato plants that I ripped up. This is my neighbor's yard. See that tree down there with the ladder in front of it? That peach tree has ripe peaches on it now. They've been kind of ripening in stages, his peaches, which is convenient that they're not all coming in at once. Anyway, they said I could come over and get some more peaches from there, which I will, to make some more like peach crisp, or get some peaches processed, and maybe I'll can some, I don't know. Anyway, but I'll go get some of those. And then 2 big projects, or 2, well, 3 I guess. This is my Granny Smith apple tree, my pink lady and pear, and they have a lot of apples and pears that fell on the ground. Several on the tree have been bug eaten, and so I need to pick those off so I can give them to the cows. And I have 2 large grocery bags filled with apples. 1 full bag of Granny Smiths, 1 full bag of Pink Ladies. I'm going to work on those this afternoon. Do some dehydrating, some canning, some applesauce making, and then we'll pull more of these apples off of here so we can try to get these branches to go back up. John thinks that raccoons are getting up into this pear tree. I don't think they're doing too much in here, quite honestly, because the people who we bought the house from said that, you know, fat chance you'll get any pears because the raccoons will get them all. John put this netting around the base of the tree, and raccoons don't like to get their feet in the netting, but the netting has clearly been displaced, and so he thinks that they pulled this netting off of here so they could jump and get up into the trees. They haven't been annihilating the harvest though, which is good, but he's going to reposition the netting to try to hold them off a little bit longer so we can get in here and harvest all of these pears. I mean, take a look. I mean, there's just a bunch. You see those? Is it? Yeah, lots and lots of pears. Okay, so there's a bag of Pink Ladies, there's a bag of Granny Smiths, and there is a bag of pears. Keep in mind I already brought some to my mom, a little assortment of everything, and I brought a bag to my friend Jenna that I saw yesterday. We're going to pick some for several of the neighbors on our street. Our neighbors next door, we have given free access to come over and pick whatever they want because they've given us free access to pick their peaches. And then I think I'm going to bag up some stuff, not out of these bags, but more from the tree, and just take several bags to church tomorrow and give them to people. There's still going to be more. And definitely the raccoons have been getting into them because as I was picking up pears off the ground below the pear tree, I saw pears that were half eaten, and they were definitely, you could see like teeth scrapes. It's just interesting to me, though, that insects and varmints, they don't feel the need to finish off what they start. They just ruin one pear, throw it on the ground, and go for another one and ruin that one, and then, you know, take a few bites and go for another one. So, ridiculous.